Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classics that's known classics. This is episode number 1093 and Doubleshot number 987. I got two Spider-Gwen trades. It's been a while since I've done a Spider-Gwen trade. Now, this is the first time in a while I've done from the original series. I did do a review of the Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider series about a month ago, but that was the most recent thing I did with Spider-Gwen. Now we're going back to the beginning. First up, we have Spider-Gwen Volume 0, Most Wanted? Yeah, I was looking at this cover a lot of today, and I'm like, man, this style looks very similar to what they used from the trailer I saw for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, what they used for Spider-Gwen. Yeah. But here's the thing. Now, this trade collects her first appearance from Into the Spider-Verse number 2, and the entire first volume of Spider-Gwen, which ended after 5 issues. Now, you're probably thinking to yourselves, like everybody watching this video probably are familiar with this book. Hey, wait. I thought the book started in 2015, and you say it got relaunched at the same year. There's a reason for that, and it's really, really stupid. You want to know why this run at the end after only 5 issues? Why it had to be restarted? All new, all different, Marvel Now, and Secret Wars. That's the reason why. Because Marvel loves that number 1. We had to pump out that number 1 constantly on a freaking basis. And this is one thing a lot of people got ticked off at Marvel basically over the past, I would say for the past 7 years, people despise this at Marvel. We had to have constant, almost every single year, books. Some of whom didn't even last. Like this book here, 5 issues before he had to hit the restart button. Like, if you want to think of, this is one of our lower issues, basically, that got relaunched in 1, along with Howard the Duck. You probably think, I heard one person say Silk got relaunched 3 issues. No, it actually managed to last for 8 issues before it got relaunched. The all-new Captain America title, which was done by Recommender when he had Falcon as Captain America, that book ended after only 6 issues. Yes, Spider-Woman, which she guest stars in the following trade here, Jessica Drew, that book ended after 10 issues before I got released to number 1. This was only 5. Yes, 5 freaking issues. Because Marvel's had the obsession, like I said. Also, the only book that lasted for 8 issues, aside from Silk, was Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. Yeah, that got relaunched after 8 issues. This was basically one of those ones that were launched after 5. But aside from that, this actually is pretty good. Okay, now the book is written by, of course, the creators of the character, Jason Latour and Robbie Reyes, who pretty much was the writing art. Now, it's still pretty much the same. Even next trade, I think Robbie Reyes skips 1 issue next trade, but mostly the guy was the artist for pretty much almost this entire run. Yep. Now, Edge of Spider-Verse number 2. Technically, her first appearance. And yes, I have reviewed this issue before in the Edge of the Spider-Verse trade. Now, my local library did not have this trade. Nope, the first trade I reviewed for this particular run was actually Volume 2, which was a hardcover that collected her issues from the Spider-Women crossover, the second volume of the series, Weapon of Choice, and Long Distance. Now, she is from the Earth 65. Now, some people misinterpret this as the first appearance of this particular Earth. This Earth is actually older than you believe. It's from since the 80s, when it debuted during the original Captain Britain comic. Yeah, that was technically his first appearance. But only one character appeared from that Earth, and that was Captain Britain himself. Well, they're Captain Britain. Here's kind of the strange thing. That character has never appeared in the series. At all. And as far as Marvel is concerned, still the same universe. In the very first issue, we get the debut of Spider-Gwen herself, Peter Parker, who actually dies in this very issue, J. Jonah Jameson, though he appears in Flash, he can physically appear in here. Let's see, you get the debut of Captain George Stacy, Matt Murdock, who's the Kingpin of Crime. How he got this far, that's actually explained in a later story of how the heck he became the Kingpin of Crime. We also had the debut of the Rhino. Yes, the Rhino, who looks a lot like a souped-up version of Kraven the Hunter. Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird, the fact he looked like that. And Spider-Gwen herself is on the run from the cops. Yeah, the reason is because Jameson, yes, Jameson is idiotic, stupid thing that he normally does. He accused Spider-Woman for the death of Peter Parker, even though he had nothing to do with the actual death. Well, she indirectly caused his death, but she actually didn't physically cause his death. No, that was due to something else. Now, it's explained here the reason why he apparently died while trying to turn into the Lizard. Let's actually follow up with the next storyline here. In the very next story arc. Yeah, and like she's on the run, and at the end of the issue, we see Spider UK show up. He did technically appear in the Edge of Spider-Gwen stories. When he got killed off during the Spider-Verse stuff, yeah, Edge of Spider-Verse, when he got killed off in Spider-Gwen, I felt nothing for the character, because the character, we barely got a chance to know him. I mean, outside basically what happened in the events of Spider-Verse, the only time the guy physically appeared was actually in the Web Warrior series. That was simply it. When he got killed off, I was not exactly shocked by it. It was something, the fact that got killed off. I was more upset that Spider-Man New War got killed from that crossover than Spider-Man UK. Yep. And of course, the issue itself leads into the event of Spider-Verse. The initial run itself reads right after Spider-Verse, which makes perfect sense the fact it does that. Excuse me. In these 5 issues, we see a debut of Detective Jean DeWolf, not Captain. Frank Castle, who's with the NYPD. Now you're probably thinking, wait, is this the first alternate continuity of the Punisher where he actually is NYPD? The answer is no. That is actually not true. It's not the first time. The actual first alternate continuity I've seen where he was a police officer was, believe it or not, Ultimate Spider-Man. Yes, you gotta thank Brahma Bendis for that. Though not many people talk about that. No, not necessarily. Yeah, not many people talk about that. I mean, some people may talk about the Punisher, but many people do not talk about the fact before he became the Punisher, directly before he became Punisher, he was an officer for the New York Police Department. Though it did mention that he was part of the Marines prior to that, but he was NYPD prior to becoming the Punisher. We also see the debut of the Vulture. Yes, the Vulture. It makes interesting sense, though, that her first villain that she fight after the Rhino would be the Vulture. He was technically the first one of the few recurring. Now, I got handed to the Riot Race. He made me for quite interesting. Also, forgot to continue. She's also outside of this Spider-Woman identity. She's not called Spider-Gwen. She's called Spider-Woman, and she's with a band called the Mary Janes, comprised of herself on the drums. The lead singer is Mary Jane Watson, along with Gloria Grant and Betty Brant. Yeah, these 4 women. Dealing with all these women in common, with the exception of Gloria Grant. All 3 of these 4 women have actually dated Peter Parker in the Marvel Comic Universe. One of whom he actually married, Mary Jane Watson. Yeah, Mary Jane Watson. And she's basically the leader of a band. Yep. And that's her basically character trait in here, is that she's the leader of a band. And the way that Gwen says she's drawn when she's out of the costume, she's very somewhat emo. This is how Rob Reyes draws her, very emo, and dressing her in modern day clothing, basically what teenage girls probably would wear, like at the time this release, which I at least appreciate the fact that at least you have an artist who actually can draw characters, well, at least teenage girls, to actually put them in outfits that you probably would see them normally wear. Gotta give high praise for him doing that. And let's see, I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh yes, in the very first issue, we see the debut of Ben Grimm of the Fantastic Four, though he's not the thing. He's also an officer of the NYPD. Why in the world he's an officer is never explained, just like he's an officer. We also see this universe version of Hobby Brown. And no, he's not the Prowler. Nope, he is not the Prowler's universe. He is a graffiti artist, which Gwen has some encounters with him. And of course, while she has a thing where, oh yeah, there's an officer because there's a warrant out for her arrest, based on nothing. Yes. That's the thing. There is no evidence to support her arrest at all, and yet there's a warrant off. There's basically, she's wanted. And the officer, basically acting like a complete trigger-happy idiot, decides to open fire on her, despite the fact, yes, she is wanted by the police. She has done absolutely nothing to warrant this at all. The guy is just a trigger-happy moron. And it's never mentioned what happened to this character after that. They did pretty much have her radio dispatch. Well, what happened? And the reason why she's able to do this because her father is a captain. Yes, George Stacy is still a captain in this universe, just like he was in the regular comic universe. But in this universe, never died. He's still an old man, though not as old as he was prior to his death. Yeah, I think that when he died, he looked like he was probably in the 60s, I'd say. While Gwen herself was in her 20s when she died. Yeah, that's just my personal guess. Here, Captain Stacy looks like he's probably in his 50s, I'd say. Yeah, I'd say probably 50s. That's just a rough, educated guess of how old he is. Also, Ben Grimm, basically, they note here that he actually fell off 40 stories and survived. Though he's in the hospital, but they know that he's a one tough dude. Which is indeed true how he is depicted in the regular universe. He's one tough guy. And I'm glad the fact that Jason Latour basically wrote him that way. That he's a very tough guy. He can survive anything. He's in the hospital for quite a while, but at least he's actually alive. And Matt Murdock basically at one point is actually beating up Adrian Toomes. When he shows up, basically he's on top of a billboard attacking a couple graffiti artists while also trying to take out Ben Grimm as well. Look how he survived. Of course, by the end of the storyline, of course, Adrian himself is arrested, and as far as I know, is never seen again in the series. Great to see the character. He's not my personal favorite Spider-Man villains. Yeah, he's actually he's not my least favorite. For a lot of people, he's their least favorite villain. For me personally, it's the Meteor Man. I never really care for the character at all. He's by far, in my opinion, one of the worst Spider-Man villains of all time. Vulture at least a lot more interesting than he is. But for the start of this series, it's really good. Give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. Really good. Next up it is, and this is something that's quite confusing. One person referred to it as the way the subtitle above it, that thing is actually outside of the book. No, it isn't. This here is Spider-Gwen, Volume 1, Great Power. Still done by the same creative team, Jason Latour and Robert Rodriguez. But the thing is, for one issue, issue 5 is about Chris Visions. Yep. This contains the first 6 issues of this particular run. Well, of Volume 2 for the series. In these issues, we see a debut in this universe of Curt Connors, who does turn to Liz at one point, but he's not the creator of Liz's formula. Gwen notes that it's actually Peter who created the formula, not Curt Connors, because here she starts investigating what really caused the death of the Peter Parker. Also, they do have, in here anyways, they do have the debut of Ben and May Parker. Ben Parker is actually alive and well, he's perfectly fine. And the fact that, well, Gwen basically is basically treated like a daughter to the Parkers. Treat her a lot like an actual daughter, which I appreciate Jason Latour writing them that way. They're in here as well. But aside from Curt Connors, we see mentioning of S.H.I.E.L.D. We see here a mention of the organization Silk, which that is set up for the Spider-Woman crossover. And speaking of Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew shows up in here eating a stick of butter. Yes, she seriously does that. Because she was pregnant at that point. Yeah, here's kind of thing about Jessica Drew. Ever since they ended her series, she hasn't done really a lot of noteworthy things. I mean, yeah, she's a mother now, but the lingering question I think a lot of people had when the series ended, when Dennis Hopeless was writing it, who the father of baby was. Here's the thing. That question was never answered by the time the series ended. Never answered. It could have been implied, it could have been the porcupine, but that went nowhere. Yep. And aside from Curt Connors and the mentioning of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the organization Silk, we also see the debut of Captain America in this universe. And in case you're wondering, is it Steve Rogers like it is a lot of the time? Nope, it's a black woman. Yes, Sharon Carter shows up in here as well, briefly. Erskine is a much younger guy than you normally picked as. See, Dr. Erskine is usually depicted as a guy much older than than Steve. He's not like the same age as Steve. He's usually just picking a guy. I mean, the way he usually appeared. Like if you saw Captain America First Adventure, that's typically how he appears as an old man. Here he's quite young. He does die at a young age, and Bucky is not mentioned becoming Winter Soldier's continuity. He just never did. I think they mentioned that Steve became a comic writer, but that's our last series of him. And I'm trying to think who else was in here. Oh yeah, we also see a debut of Harry Osborn. Yes, Harry Osborn is continuity, and he's very good friends with Gwen. We also see him come the Earth 65 version of the Green Goblin, though not the traditional Green Goblin outfit. We also see the Earth 65 version of the Hobgoblin. Don't know who this guy is. It could be Roger Kingsley. Who the heck knows? Though it deals with D&D stuff. But yeah, this overall, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't like the overall change of the artwork for issue 5. I thought that was kind of weird. Yeah, Matt Murdock does. Yeah, here's some sample artwork. Like, here's how he draws Wilson Fisk. Not Wilson Fisk. Yeah, Wilson Fisk is in here, but he's not the Kingpin of Crime. Yeah, they do mention of how Matt Murdock became the Kingpin of Crime in these issues. Like, he worked for the Kingpin, and eventually he overthrew him. And, well, at least they explained how he became the Kingpin of Crime. And, yeah, in case you're wondering, like, did he show up during the crossover kissing in the tree? Yes, he did. He met Miles. And, yeah, does he have powers? And Gwen's like, no. He's just a dick. Which is indeed true. He is a dick. That's the Earth 65 Matt Murdock for you. An evil person. Because he can. Also, they did have one person show up in here. I forgot to mention. Foggy Nelson. Yes, Foggy Nelson's in here. No mention of Elektra. Or any other supporting characters from Daredevil. Just Matt Murdock and Foggy Nelson. Wilson Fisk makes sense because of his long association with the Spider-Man franchise. Oh, in case you're wondering, despite the fact in the title it says Radioactive Spider-Gwen, that's actually not the name of the title. It's just called Spider-Gwen. Yeah, they just put it there just for marketing purposes. I'm not really sure what the reasoning was, but Radioactive is not the name of the title. Radioactive Spider-Gwen is not the name of it. It's just there just because. And I look at the other trades, and it's printed here. Yeah, that title is nowhere to be seen in any other trade. It's just printed on the cover of this trade here. For the relaunch of this particular run is actually really good. And it starts a storyline that doesn't conclude here. It doesn't conclude for quite some time. I don't think it's concluded until like the end of this run, which in issue 36. Yep. And for the relaunch of this, really good. Give this book a, also wait, 9.5 out of 10. I can't think of anybody else. Oh yeah, also, George talks to Ben and figures out that he should look for Peter's real killer. And, Ben thinks it is Spider-Woman. According to George, he says, no, my gut says, no, she's not the real killer. It's probably somebody else. And he's taking time looking for her. And that will be a plot thread that will stretch out almost his entire run. Which also involve him basically leaving the police force at one point. Yes, in case you're wondering how long does this run last for? They actually ended this run after issue 36. The reason why the book ended was because of low sales. That was the reason why the book ended. I think this was about 3 years ago the book ended. It was sad to see the book go, but the book that came back and relaunched as Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider. The reason why they picked that name was because the Secret Warriors animated shorts referred to her as that instead of Spider-Woman. Yes, and then at the end of that particular run, she calls the Spider Ghost Spider, and she's still called Ghost Spider. One thing you at least gotta appreciate though about the Marvel Legacy numbering for this series is that they actually, even by the most recent issue that came out for the series, they still count it as part of the series. As a matter of fact, the final issue of Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider is actually the 50th issue of the series. Yeah, it's 50th issue. Yeah, as far as I can tell it is. Yeah. So, if you look at it, basically at this point, you got like, for these two trades overall, you got the first 11 issues of the series. And in my opinion, the relaunch was completely unnecessary. Yes, pretty much anybody can agree this relaunch of this particular title was completely necessary. It didn't really need it. Did it have a time skip afterwards? Unlike the other titles, which did, this title did not have a time skip. It just picked up probably about, well, I can tell about maybe like 2 or 3 months after the events of the previous volume, but it wasn't 8 months like it was for all the rest of the titles that happened right after Secret Wars. And this is currently, as far as I can tell right now, the only alternate universe title that Marvel is currently publishing right now. Because there is no other one. And she's one of those handful of female-led titles that Marvel is publishing. Along with Captain Marvel, which is still being published, Miss Marvel, which actually changed writers recently, changed writers last year. It's no longer G. Wilson, it's Simone Ahmad. Was anything else? For other female characters who have their own series now, I think the other ones are Jessica Jones has got one right now, though it's a miniseries. I do count it as basically having basic series now. Mm-hmm. They did give one recently to the Invisible Woman, yes, and Black Widow's gonna get a new title soon, and that's it. Oh yeah, also, Jane Foster's got a series now. Yep, Jane Foster's got an ongoing series. Either yes, you can kind of count not the first time she's had an ongoing series because she did briefly take over the Thor title for a few years, but this is the first time she's on her own. She's not stealing someone else's title, as somebody put it. She briefly took over the title while Thor was basically unworthy. Let's see, was there any women who had titles recently? The Invisible Woman finally got a mini-series. Yeah, she's never had one before, but she got one. I read it. It was actually really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it makes sense that they would give her one. Was there anybody else? Oh yeah, they gave one with Black Cat, obviously. Yeah, surprisingly, she's got one. We also have the character Scream. Yeah, there'll be a review for trade sometime in the future when I get my hands on it. But not much else to say about these two trades. They're really good. I do recommend them for people who are fans of Spider-Gwen. I thoroughly enjoyed them, and now, as of right now, I've reviewed all the way up to Volume 4. So next trade, hopefully to review for the series, is Gwenom. Yeah, there's actually by far 2 more trades that collect this series of Spider-Gwen that I have left to review, and then all that's left to go is just the second volume of Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider and the current series, which is done by Sean McGuire of all people. Yes, I'm not familiar with him that much, but I think he's doing a good job with the character. Yeah, but not much else to say about this. Really good. Okay, so that's it for this particular review. My next review is going to be a review of new chapter Fire Force. And you get my thoughts on this particular chapter next. Okay, see you next review. Bye.